Grateful to be with you. I am Stuart Anderson. We're a little early, which is good because when you're early,
You're on time.
you're on time. Very good. Although I don't know if my high schooler loves that phrase, Steve. We're still trying
Probably
to get
not,
it to.
but you know
Oh,
what? The training is good, and she'll get used to it, and
yes.
she'll love you for it. She'll love you
Hey, we're
for
going
it.
to be with you for an hour today. If you're joining us live, we're grateful to have you live. We're also recording this webinar. As always, when Crown Council and our Total Patient Service Institute join together for a webinar, we're going to record it so you can watch it again, your team can watch it again, and there will be CE available when we finish. That will go out in an email to everybody. Give me a couple hours to prepare the recording and the CE, and then we'll send it
Can
out
you
to
do it
everybody.
faster than that?
I
I mean,
I, I try, I try, and we will post that to the Crown Council website. And even if you're not a member, that recording will be available for a week, and you can watch and participate with us and your team. So thank you for joining us today. Grateful to be with you. I'm going to turn the time over to our gracious what do I call you today, Steve?
I don't
Steve, our
know.
host today. Yeah,
Whatever am I? I don't know. Thank you, Stuart.
exactly. You bet.
So, thanks, Stuart. So, the Crown Council is the provider of continuing education for this webinar and all the webinars that we do. So, thank you, Stuart, for that. And for all the Crown Council members that are in attendance today. Let me introduce the players because this was really a joint effort between a lot of people. The Crown Council for providing the CE, our team at Total Patient Service. So for those of you that have not been with us before, I am the founder of the Total Patient Service Institute, which our team specializes in one word, and that is the word yes. So implementing the highest level of patient service and case acceptance skills in dentistry. So our team is deployed all over the country and practices every day, coaching teams to hear yes more often from their patients. So I'll be presenting a little bit of what we do and how it applies to patient loyalty today, what we're learning and what you can do to up your game in that area. I'd like to introduce Jared Parente, who leads the team at Dental Warranty. Dental Warranty is America's first peace of mind protection that backs up work that you do, all your restorative work, that gives patients a 6-year peace of mind assurance that if anything happens, no fault, then in other words, doesn't matter what happens, it'll be repaired or replaced up to the full amount that they originally invested. And Jared's gonna have a big part of our presentation today of what Dental Warranty is learning about patient loyalty, especially in today's uncertain times. And that will be a word you will hear over and over and over again. Jared's got some fascinating research that is impacting dental practices all over the country and what you can do about it. Megan Lohman is from Plan Forward. Plan Forward is and Megan, if I can use this phrase, a white label membership plan, meaning it's your membership plan. So Megan and her team provide all of the back office functionality for you to be able to provide a membership plan for your office. It belongs to you, your name's on it, to increase patient loyalty to your brand. And Megan's going to share some fascinating data that they've gathered on how to build patient loyalty in today's environment, especially with your patients who do not have insurance. So with that, I think that we're going to talk about loyalty today. And how do you build loyalty? I looked at a practice recently, and we were looking at what their patient loyalty rate was. And here were the things that we looked at, the specific numbers that we looked at to determine which patients were loyal. I'm going to draw a distinction here quickly between the difference between satisfaction and loyalty. So satisfaction, if you look this up in the dictionary, is the fulfillment of a need or want. So consider it like going to dinner. You're hungry, you go to a restaurant, you have dinner, you're full, you're satisfied, and you leave. You're satisfied. On your way out, the hostess says, "How was your experience? How was your meal?" You said, "It was fine. I'm satisfied, right? Got my hunger filled. I filled the hole. I am good to go. Now, contrast that with loyalty. Here's how we define loyalty: the state of unwavering allegiance, faithful to a cause, an ideal, an institution, or a product. So the satisfied customer in the restaurant, they got their hunger satisfied. They may or may not come back. A loyal restaurant customer, there's that keyword, unwavering allegiance. The next time they go out to dinner, the likelihood that they'll go back to that restaurant is very, very high. They're a regular, repeat, and return customer, and they tell everyone about it. So here's the key, and this really is the foundational principle of what we're going to talk about today, is satisfaction is not the same as loyalty. If someone's satisfied, it doesn't mean that they're loyal. If I got my hunger filled, it doesn't necessarily mean that, and this is funny, I've been talking about this and I didn't even share my screen. Sorry, guys.
No, it's been good. It's been engaging. It's been engaging.
Okay, does that everybody see that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so satisfaction doesn't mean you're loyal. Just means you're satisfied. You got your hunger filled. You may or may not come back. And here's the other piece of this, is that loyalty doesn't necessarily mean that people are always satisfied. Meaning, we all have brands, and Jared will illustrate this in just a minute. We all have brands that we're loyal to, that we love, that we keep going back to, we use over and over again. And sometimes our patient or our customer experience is not always satisfactory, but to remain loyal, a lot of times what happens is they're good at service recovery to keep our loyalty. So satisfaction doesn't mean we're loyal, and loyal doesn't mean we're always satisfied. Just means that there is a difference between the two, and we're going to talk about the difference. Two numbers that matter here on how we measure loyalty. First is your pre-appointment rate. So what percentage of your active patients have a future scheduled appointment? So that's a data, if you have an analytics system, that will calculate that for you, but it is a great measure of patient loyalty. Are they planning on coming back, right? So do they have that? Are they planning on coming back? Have they scheduled their next appointment? Okay, so total active patients, we typically measure an active patient as somebody who's been in the last 18 months. So what percentage, just in round numbers, let's say you have 1,000 active patients, do you have 800 of them that have scheduled their next appointment and they're ready to go? Because if you don't, they're at risk, and you've created a ton of work to have to chase them down and get them back on the schedule. And so that leads us to this number. What is your reappointment rate? So what percentage of your patients, let's take hygiene, for example, what percentage of your hygiene patients today that you saw today scheduled their next appointment at their existing appointment? Because if they don't schedule it today while they're in the office, then they're in a whole different risk category of disloyalty. They may or may not be back. So those are two numbers to live by. In other words, how do we measure loyalty? Pretty easy. Is, are they coming back? And in dentistry, we got a beautiful business model, because we love to see patients once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year, 4 times a year. We've got the model for seeing patients, for patients to remain loyal. So those are two numbers we're going to revisit today several times: pre-appointment rate and reappointment rate. Those are the numbers to live by. Let me just give you a quick example. The cost of disloyalty, and this is a really simple example, but let's take your typical hygiene visit. Let's say it's $150 to $200 per patient per visit. If you have 500 overdue patients, that means that you have $75,000 to $100,000 of lost revenue per year. That's the lost revenue because of lack of loyalty. If there's 1,000 unscheduled patients, That could be up to 200,000 or more. And that doesn't even count the restorative production that we're counting. This is just strictly in hygiene. So there's a lot of ways to measure loyalty. Those are 3 ways to take a look at this. Now, what builds loyalty? Jared's going to share with us what we know now about our current economy, what's driving or detracting from patient loyalty, and what are the factors that you can add into the equation to increase repeat business, increase patient loyalty, especially in today's uncertain times. So with that, Jared Parente, who leads the team at Dental Warranty. Jared, it is all yours.
All right, thank you, Steve. Let's dive right in. So, if you're feeling the mounting pressure or the challenge of being able to get patients to accept the care that they need, to come back, to stick with their appointments, first, you're not alone. It's super common, and it's a challenge that is across every office that we work with and teams coast to coast. And there's a reason for it. So as we paint the backdrop a little bit, if we zoom out, there's a few different things that actually explain a lot of what your patients are experiencing and the hesitation that you might be facing. So the world's leading economists put together these indexes that give us a clear picture of what consumers and people are feeling and what their thoughts are regarding the economy. And so the clear trend is that uncertainty is spiking and confidence is falling. So if you look on the chart, at the chart on the left, the World Uncertainty Index, what's incredible about this one is look how much higher it is today. Even though we've had a little bit of a rebound back down last month, look how much higher it is even than the global pandemic.
Oh, and I bet you, Jared, if they updated this, so this is as of January, 3 months ago. I bet if they have updated this today, it would be higher than it was last year. There's been a few things that have happened in the last month.
Up and down for sure. And it seems like, we've got a little bit of a ping pong as well, which only adds to that effect. But uncertainty is at all-time highs, and we're looking at a consumer confidence level that is matching just 12-year lows. So there's a lot of hesitation that's present in the world today. To see if you want to jump to the next slide here. And so another thing that's really a little bit startling is another measure of this when they look at sentiment. So sentiment is a measure of how people are feeling about the future generally. It's also a measure that's a little bit more emotionally tied. And so normally in the past, where you've seen these indexes measuring sentiment, confidence, and uncertainty, you'd see them mirror each other and support each other a lot more closely than they are now. In the last couple of years, they're seeing a divergence that they've never seen before. And sentiment, as of late, is continuing to go up while confidence and certainty are trending towards negative levels. And so it begs the question, how does that make sense? Those are two things.
It's counterintuitive.
It is. It's very counterintuitive, and it makes sense when you think about the definition of what sentiment is and you look at the markets today. So as a little bit of a speculation, and you feel generally optimistic about what's to come in the future, look at where our markets have gone, you can still feel uncertain and hesitant about what's happening today. Job prospects, inflation, all of the stuff. When you sit down and look at your own finances, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of question marks, right? A lot of things that are impacting us in ways that are negative right now, even though we feel generally or emotionally that perhaps this will right side itself. And
so this is kind of like, I got no clue what's going on, but I sure am happy.
kind of. And so
it's good news
to make sense of it.
That's a great sentiment for April Fool's Day, Steve. That's great.
True that.
True. So to make sense of it, here's the expert consensus on it, is that uncertainty is it's a persisted heightened normal. So it's here to stay. And you think about the state of news, social media, and all of the, the advent of the incoming AI wave and everything. There's still a lot of unknown, and so uncertainty is here to stay at a persistently high level.
So we're
So
kind of
so
numb to it. I mean, we've gotten so used to it. It's not, in other words, I can still have a positive outlook and feel pretty good, even though I don't have a clue what's going to come tomorrow.
you can. You absolutely can. So my goal today is to talk about how that shows up in your practice. So this isn't an economics discussion, not a pending recession, not a, there's a lot to think about here, but what it is a discussion about behavior. And when uncertainty rises, there's very different thinking that goes on. It shifts big time in your patients, and actually with all of us. So hesitation becomes the normal. It's the default. We're more risk aware, more risk sensitive. We take more time to commit. There's greater scrutiny of financial exposure decisions that we're making, and we look for signals of safety and assurance when we're feeling unsure about everything that's going on around us. So
I want my
that,
blankie. I want my warm blankie and my warm milk.
yes, absolutely. So if we're all feeling that, if that's how it changes behavior and shifts things, then it's showing up with your patients. What does that look like when that shows up in your practice? So you've got delayed and unscheduled treatment that goes up, inconsistency with appointments, more cancellations, rescheduling, patients not showing up, taking longer to commit to treatment plans, hearing a lot more, let me think about it, while they ponder and try to feel good and safe about the decision. There's a lot of shopping, second opinions going on. And different from that, which is actually a big deal, is quiet shopping. It's all the unspoken stuff that may not be obvious to you, but make no mistake, it's going on in their mind. So you've got to try to get in front of that and address it, be aware so that you can change the course. And so there's that internal doubt. There are more and there are louder questions going on in their mind when they come to your practice for care.
Whole body of work, Jared, to do on this list right here, because so much of that is verbal skills and how you communicate with your patients on scheduling treatment today, coming back for your appointment, preventing cancellations. Our team at TOPS could have a heyday with this list, but that's not the topic of our webinar today.
For sure. No, we're going to point
We're
you
going to stay
in
focused
the
on
direction.
keeping them coming back is our focus. So, but this is where it shows up. It's showing up.
Yeah, absolutely. So while we can't dig deep into each of these, Steve's exactly right. You've got to go deep on those, and we'll highlight the picture and go into some of it, and kind of give you a map of where to go. Adding on to this is a little bit, something that's different in dentistry when you think about all fields of healthcare, and it's age old. This is happening forever, but it compounds things in this world of higher uncertainty. In dentistry, as much as we try to fight the tide on this, there's this common misconception with patients that even though they know that this treatment's important for me, I know I need to get it done at some point, oftentimes I feel like the timing of that is discretionary. So we're always battling for attention and time and when it needs to be urgently addressed and handled before it becomes a bigger problem. And so another key change in behavior is that when uncertainty rises, we're prioritizing even more. So we're going to be fighting for that attention at a higher level of resistance than even in normal times. So just
So
something
like
else to
the
think about.
attitude, what you're saying here, Jared, is for a lot of people, it's like, I know it's going to break, but I hope it's not going to be today, right? In other words,
Exactly.
it's now measuring not if, but when, and that's when we start prioritizing is when we start thinking about timing.
Exactly. And that priority is, that's with everything in life. It's competing for all the attention. It's what are all the things I could and we call it the age of Amazon, where we've got attention spans of like nothing, and all the stuff that we're, in the course of everyday life, everywhere all at once, fighting for that time and attention and focus. We're in the mix with all of it. So where do we start as far as tackling this and getting ahead of it? So the first I would recommend is that you are aware of the things that are compounding the problem. So if you're doing any of these things, we got to stop. And it's natural when patients are hesitant or we're feeling a little bit of that resistance. We've got these instinctive reactions that kind of kick in, and they can be counterproductive. Starting with this kind of empathy, what do you call it? It's ruinous. It's we're trying to be helpful, but we're sabotaging what we're trying to do. So keep it in check. Try to remember what we're here to do and take care of their health. And you know, even though it may require some expense and some consideration on their end. And I don't mean to be, unempathetic and insensitive. These are real challenges. Everyone's got budget and things to deal with, but don't let that become a counterintuitive thing when it comes to guiding your patient in their decisions. So
that shows up in prejudging the patient, and then it's words like this. Now, I know times are tough, and there's a lot of uncertainty, and we don't know where things are going. So right when you preface things like that, you're setting things up. You're prejudging your patient. And there's a whole body of work around this. You're really protecting yourself. You're not protecting your patient. It's like fear of rejection. Again, whole body of work here.
Yeah.
But it creeps in.
True. I mean, really, they've proven that it's like these are all like it's a coping mechanism to make you feel better about a discomfort. And there are better ways to handle it. So limiting language, you touched on some of that, Steve. We talked about this all the time. We could watch it, and it's like, what are we?
We can watch, we can see.
Yep, exactly. Any kind of discounting as a way to get through it, or financial concessions, that ties into kind of a scarcity mindset or prejudging the patient, as Steve put it. And it's projecting on the patient, or assuming that, having that assumption bias that patients won't pay for it if it's something that might be considered an extra in their mind, when it's really something you believe should be a part of the care. And then that really compounds into just an overall breakdown of systems and communications that you work hard to put in place so that things go right. And so all stuff that you need to keep in check to prevent the issue from becoming a bigger gap or a bigger problem than it has to be. All right, so stopping to compound the problem, and now we can help what we've come to understand and learn through research, through modern consumer research, and how to kind of flip the script a little bit in terms of the way you can think about how to gain loyalty and how to get patients to come back and accept care. So the first myth that we'll dispel is that by exceeding expectations, I'll win patient loyalty.
What?
That doesn't sound right. So the truth there, and what research shows us, and this is all kind of based on research that comes out of Gartner, which is one of the biggest global research firms in the world. Modern research shows, so the truth, if you want to skip over, Steve, to the next slide here, is that exceeding expectations actually does not significantly increase loyalty at all. And in fact, what it shows, that got a little chart here that kind of shows what we think. The dotted line there is a company perception that if I can exceed customer expectations, that loyalty will continue to be driven upwards. And the reality, as you can see here, is that once the expectations are met, there's actually very little improvement to the loyalty factor.
It was like a point of diminishing returns where yes, you gotta meet or exceed expectations, but there's a point where it doesn't move the meter anymore.
Exactly. So exceeding expectations does not significantly increase loyalty. The next myth that we'll kind of dispel is that satisfied patients will stay. The truth of the matter is that satisfaction alone is not a predictor of long-term retention and loyalty.
My hunger has been satisfied, but I may never come back.
Exactly. This builds on that. Exactly. So the research showed that there's very little correlation between satisfaction and long-term loyalty. And they actually found out that between 60 and 80% of people who ultimately leave had at one point, or the last time they were surveyed, said that they were satisfied, yet they still went elsewhere.
Because that typically we think of dissatisfaction is what drives people to leave, but you're saying that's not necessarily the case.
It's not. And so building on that a little bit, there's this really interesting point where, so there's the strategy in customer service historically has been like delivering kind of a moment of wow, or delighting your customer. So if I delight my customers or delight my patients, they'll stick around. And what they actually found is that every service interaction has a higher likelihood of driving disloyalty than it does to drive loyalty. Okay.
Wait, say that again?
Every service interaction has has a 4 times more likelihood of driving disloyalty than it does driving loyalty.
So what am I supposed
And
to
here's
hide from my customers? Hide from my
no. So a little bit more of a translation here. The majority of effort was being put into creating these moments where you're trying to exceed expectations. So in
right.
the dental practice, it could be the bells and whistles, the massage chairs, the extras, making it a different experience. And that's not to say that those things are unfounded and that they shouldn't be a part of the experience. You should want to differentiate and create comfort and please your patients. You just can't ignore the stuff that they found out has the chance of driving it 4 times in the opposite direction while you're trying to focus on those other things. So
You run the risk of something going wrong in one of those interactions.
Or you put
correct.
so much emphasis in the bells and whistles because you're assuming that that's your big differentiator, and this is creating this, experience that is unparalleled, when in reality, that's not what the patient wants or needs. They want what you're going to talk about next.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Exactly. So make sure you're focusing on the right stuff. So here's what the research shows. The things that are actually going to keep your patients from becoming disloyal, at least. So focus on making it easier for your patient. Make it easier for them to be your patient. So minimize
Friction,
customer effort.
fewer things I
Exactly.
have to do, the better.
You got it. You got it. That also includes minimizing perceived risk, the unknown, and I'll get into this a little bit, but it's proactively resolving things before they happen. Make sure you've got all that stuff dialed in. That all makes it easier for your patient by getting in front of it and preventing it from becoming a problem before it ever does. And then, of course, increasing certainty, fighting against the tide on the uncertainty that we're seeing spike to make the experience better will actually all drive your patients back towards a more loyal state. So let's jump over into kind of a little bit about what that might look like. So, and this kind of goes for a lot of different things. We're at a time where you can no longer assume things. You can no longer let things ride or let things happen by chance. You've got to have carefully curated and designed systems and tools that you're using and practicing regularly in order to make stuff go the way that you want, in order to keep patients more loyal, in order to design the experience. So the first thing that they talk about is first contact resolution, creating an effortless experience the first time. So limit back and forth patients, reduce perceived risk in the unknown, reduce effort and friction, using modern service and convenience, making sure you're not one of the last on the bandwagon for online scheduling, digital forms, anything that you can think of that will make that experience easier is going to pay dividends far and above many, many things that you could do. So take the time to sit down with your team and map out what the effortless experience looks like. That's the first framework that will help you hit those things that matter 4 times more than anything else you could do. And the next one that they talk about is what they call next issue avoidance. So it's solving for the things that are going to happen next or tomorrow's problems today. Resolve and prevent patient issues before they come up. And then a lot of this plays into working on your communication skills that are all geared towards strengthening the relationship and trust. Steve talked about this being his whole body of work on its own, and it is. I know you'll touch on some of this later, but you got to make sure you're setting the right expectations early, drawing the right boundaries, and relying on your frameworks for guiding the direction here.
Quick example of this, Jared, I can just reemphasize, when you look at resolve issues the first time, limit the back and forth, solve tomorrow's problems today. So this goes back to what we started out talking about, pre-appointment rate, reappointment rate. You reappoint the patient today while they're here, you've limited the back and forth, and you've limited tomorrow's problem of trying to chase them down, schedule the appointment. It's just one of the keys to loyalty. It's a simple thing. Everybody knows it. But if you don't look at it every day, it can slip out of alignment.
I also think,
Exactly.
anticipating that things do happen and things will go wrong. So what is the playbook for when an experience maybe didn't go so well and the patient wasn't satisfied? We want to keep them loyal. We know patients, you can't satisfy 100% of people. So what's your playbook for when these things don't happen? So people aren't freaking out and throwing their arms up. Oh my gosh, what do we do? It's like, well, we know this is going to happen. Let's plan for it.
Yeah, so it's what's called a great service recovery.
Oh,
And
for
those,
you, Jared.
yeah. So as an example of that, Stuart, you'll remember when we have Dave Nealman speak at the Crown Council annual event a long time ago. Dave Nealman was the founder of JetBlue. And one of the things he really emphasized was that when things don't go as planned, it can be one of the greatest opportunities for customer loyalty, because how you handle things when it doesn't work as planned may get you far more loyalty than if everything had gone as planned. In fact, he got me so convinced. I asked Stuart, I said, can we like make up stuff so it doesn't go as planned so we can he got me sold. In fact, he even went so far as to say that at JetBlue, they didn't do customer surveys. They only surveyed their dissatisfied customers. They only surveyed the customers where something went wrong to see how they performed under pressure, how they created a great recovery. So to that, talk to us about peace of mind, Jared.
Yes. So, okay. So 2 tools, and I'll kind of serve this back. So that are uniquely positioned to check all the boxes. When you're thinking about, okay, how can I use what's going on, the state of the world, the economy, and the uncertainty that's rising, and what we now know through modern consumer research, there are 2 very distinct tools that you can employ in your practice that check all the boxes for you. And one of them being how you approach peace of mind in your practice. So your protection plan or warranty that you put on your dental treatment and appliances. And then I'll kind of tee this up for you, Megan, membership plans. Both of them are central to getting this right. And so kind of talking to the protection plan element of that, when you look at all of the world's most successful brands and how they approach this, they're all design assurance into the experience up front. It's not an afterthought. It's not something that's left up to chance or as a gamble. They want predictable. They want positive as a part of the ongoing experience with whatever it is that they sell. So they're elevating that service and that experience to match the quality that they offer. So we take a note of that. From that, we take a cue from that, and we brought that into dentistry. So let's go next slide, Steve. So as you think about how to employ that in the practice and choose your approach, a couple of things I want to help you steer around, and some gaps to avoid and some mistakes to avoid in the way that you conceptualize this and think about it. So first is that implied or assumed peace of mind in the patient's mind is a mistake, and that's kind of when you're thinking we do amazing work, and you do, and that but is it that that's enough is kind of where you go wrong, and what that does is it leaves kind of the factor of the unknown unaddressed, and it assumes that certainty is there when it may not be in the patient's mind. They don't know that. They don't know all the clinical standards and the excellence that you live up to. There's still a lot that has to be established in their mind. So the contrast to that is being intentional and designing that in, and that's having a structured system for that, for making it high level of peace of mind every time with every patient. So you're solving future issues in advance. You're limiting that perceived risk in your patients' minds, and you're building certainty into the flow and the way that you do dentistry consistently. All right, let's jump to the next one. The other mistake is if you, again, stay reactive and only deal with things as they come up case by case, It has a way of eroding your practice as you stay reactive only. So when you're just continuing to imply that there's a level of peace of mind instead of employing a strategy for it, uncertainty only grows. It's left unchecked, and it's just going to keep going up. Dealing with case-by-case issues, again, internal uncertainty with your own team will go up. It adds to team stress. We talk about this with teams all the time, that even though you can huddle up and think about what to do, having a case-by-case system, which really isn't a system, will only add to the day-to-day stress for your team internally. You're going to have more difficult and awkward conversations with patients that don't need to happen. A lot of times we see an imbalanced financial responsibility that is absorbed a lot by the practice. It drifts back to the practice if you don't have a plan for dealing with it fairly otherwise. The patient's responsibility in their ongoing continuing care is less tangible when you don't have a system for it. And you also miss the chance to make clear expectations a part of your system, which is extremely powerful. So how you can bridge the gap. So avoid, here's what you want to do. You want to avoid kind of some of the common fears that offering a proactive protection plan on your work may instill. Because what teams find is quite the opposite. So you may be thinking that by offering something ahead of time, will it imply that our work's going to fail? Or will patients have now the question of the quality of our care? Will it weaken their perception of us? And the truth is that it sends a strong, loud signal that we stand behind our care. We put it out front and we talk about it. We plan for the unexpected because that's what life is. So patients will leave feeling like they're supported. And responsibilities and expectations are set clearly up front. That always makes for a better experience. And certainty is designed intentionally into the treatment experience. So all things that are extremely positive and that you want when you more proactively have a structured plan for this. All right, so I kind of touched on this, but when you do it right, you're going to elevate the experience for everybody, your patients and your practice. And what we see often is more long-term loyalty with this, higher and more complete case acceptance. You're going to improve hygiene consistency as you put expectations for patient responsibility into your plan, and fewer cancellations, more referrals, all kinds of good side effects as you implement the right kind of protection plan in the practice.
Actually,
So
Jared,
go ahead.
with a lot of these plans, you mentioned hygiene being built in. Is that something that you expect if you're going to offer a warranty for work, that you do expect them to maintain their preventive care?
100%.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. So then the next couple slides, I'm not going to go just for the sake of time. We can give all of this detail to you with a free download that kind of gives you a roadmap for how to approach all this stuff in your practice. So I'll briefly kind of cruise over the elements here, including hygiene responsibility. But if you think about creating a protection plan in your program, here are kind of the high level things that you want to hit to make it an effective system. So making sure that it's clear and consistent, it's with every patient, make sure it's written, establish a length of coverage. Again, the most important thing is that you set it and it is something. It's not a implied thing. It's not no warranty. It's not lifetime warranty. Those are the big no-nos. Have a set list of procedures. Again, most important thing is that it's defined. Same thing with the level of coverage. At the minimum, you want to make sure that you're protecting your patient with everything outside of damage that they may cause by themselves. Set those exclusions and stick with them. Avoid the case by case and leaving it up in the air is the most important thing when it comes to that. Couple of other things is patient responsibility. Of course, if you're going to back it, they've got to play a role in it, right? So at minimum, making sure that they're coming back to do their part to keep everything in good working order. Another thing you want to do is make sure that you're keeping it legal. Easy guidance that we offer practices is just avoid the word guarantee. You're not guaranteeing anything because we can't do that. Bodies are complex. What you are is making a promise of what you will do if and when something happens and certain instances come up. All right, so we can go ahead and skip ahead, just making sure that you can do all of this whether or not you partner with us to do it together. So these are a couple things, and you can get kind of a free download at the end of this presentation that will guide you in that. And I hope to be able to show and share where by partnering together, we can make it a lot more valuable and a lot better of an experience for both you and your patients. So when you partner with Dental Warranty, that boosts it up to a 6-year protection plan. That's what we call life proof. It's whatever happens. It's not just things that, if you've got material failure or things that happen on their own. It's patients, if they have a sporting incident or cause damage on their own, it's all things that might come up. And it's nationwide. So it's wherever life goes, wherever life takes them. It expands that experience for them no matter where they go. And it's a much smarter value for both you and the patient. So it's full value coverage for them. They come in and they don't have to pay again up to that full original fee, and you're compensated by us to do that. So it's like a brand new case. It's not like you're having to play the bank and bend over backwards for things that aren't really fair to you to just make it a more comfortable situation. It levels the playing field entirely, and everybody wins. So that's where it really changes things when we work together as kind of the engine, or we power your protection plan for you. So all things from fillings through appliances, you can kind of see the list on the right. So eligible procedures for the protection plan. Patients buy this from the practice. It goes right on the treatment plan alongside the procedures it's protecting. And then again, for the next 6 years, they come back in, you'll see them up to that full value, and you're reimbursed from us to do that. So much better way to do it. You've got a success coach on our end that trains your team how to do it, how to use the right verbal skills so that it goes the way that you want, and you get high acceptance. All the software to track it and to keep up with it, marketing, patient resources, all that stuff is from us to power the program for you. So to learn more, I encourage you to scan this QR code. It'll take you to a quick form where you can either schedule time or just request more information. We'll give you what we call that peace of mind roadmap, which will go through kind of those elements, the components of how to do it right. And again, that's whether or not you choose to work with us. It's stuff that you ought to be looking at when it comes to approaching this concept, and then also the ways that we can do it much better together when we partner up. So yeah, I encourage you to scan that and take a deeper look, and we can walk you through how this may look specifically in your practice.
Thank you, Jared. Thanks for introducing us to the uncertainty index today.
Mm-hmm.
You bet. Lots to consider.
I'm now feeling even more uncertainty now that I know that there is
someone's tracking it.
tracking this. It's crazy.
But doesn't it make you feel better that everybody feels the same way? You're not just like,
I'm happy now that I know there's an uncertainty index.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Lots to work on, but it's like you can do nothing and watch it happen, or start to understand it and employ it in your favor. Right.
I would, on a serious note, I would say we're living in a time today that is not too different from the 1960s. We haven't seen this for quite a while, where you don't know what's going to show up tomorrow. Things that you would never, I mean, I'm in Dallas, Texas. We all know what happened in Dallas, Texas in 1964. Who would have predicted that? Nobody would have predicted that. And then all the things that followed. So uncertainty is a real deal, and it impacts our behavior. So it is alive and well. This is impacting dentistry across the board. And our point today, and thank you, Jared, for sharing all the data, is this is not doom and gloom as much as awareness and then response. What do you do to build more certainty into a time when there's not a lot of it? So that leads us to our next strategy, which is, how do you keep people coming back? There's a piece of that that's built in the peace of mind assurance, and there's a peace of mind in terms of loyalty. What keeps me coming back? So Megan leads the team at Plan Forward. They are the experts in patient loyalty and patient loyalty to your specific practice. So Megan, share with us what you've learned about patient loyalty.
Thank you so much. So patient loyalty is stretched really thin with your patients who do not have dental insurance. So some uninsured patients even think they can't go to a dentist without dental insurance. I mean, that really is the perception for the patient population that doesn't have dental insurance. And what we want to do with all of this uncertainty is just build in more transparency so that patients understand exactly, especially financially, what they're going to invest in your practice and in their care and what they're going to get in return. And that's really what membership plans do. Yes, it's a marketing tool for you to market to these patients, but ultimately we want to help them commit to their preventive care. We want to help them accept the things that you're presenting, especially their x-rays, so that you can see what's going on and properly treat them and present the treatment that's recommended. And when we look at how your uninsured patient behavior shifts when you take your uninsured patient and turn them into a member, that's really what I want to drive home today and just kind of show you in the data what happens. So we talk about types of patients. Uninsured patients tend to be more transactional, while members are more relational. Relational, we want that relationship, we want that loyalty. Uninsured patients tend to be more emergency-only patients, only coming in when there's a problem and they don't necessarily have a dental home. They're very inconsistent, where they're not coming in every 6 months for their hygiene. Perio seems so far out of reach for a lot of patients without insurance that certainly goes by the wayside, staying on a proper perio protocol. And they definitely have this jump factor where I don't even know if Groupon's really a popular thing anymore, but uninsured patients are looking for the next best deal, right? Probably not a great look for
I haven't heard Groupon in years. It's still out there though.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, but it's,
And we all know exactly what you meant.
We all know the Groupon behavior.
Exactly, right? Like you need something, you want to find the best deal because you're not loyal to any specific practice and you're like, what's out there? I don't know. I'm just going to go by price shopping essentially. And these cash patients or these uninsured patients are more likely to jump from practice to practice to practice to whoever has the new patient special or the Groupon deal.
It's like, who's your dentist? Groupon's my dentist.
Exactly. Well, I just get on and get the Groupon deal and go to the one down the street, whoever's offering. And the barrier to loyalty, 67% of uninsured patients cite perceived cost as their primary reason for skipping care. So again, cost and financial stability and financial certainty really drives a lot of this. So the psychology of membership, it's really like consumer behavior. That's what it is. It's a psychology. So paying for a membership creates a commitment to the practice. And so that's what we're wanting them to do. We're creating this loyalty and this commitment to your practice. It gives them a sense of ownership. And actually, I should rewind, I mentioned this, to define what a membership plan is. I apologize. So if you're not familiar with a membership plan, for one, it is different than a discount plan. So think of a discount plan as a patient pays a nominal amount and they basically get a reduced fee schedule. They're still paying a la carte for everything every time they visit, but it is more of a transactional plan and they get a discount when they have anything done. A membership plan, in contrast, is really designed to increase loyalty and to increase frequency. So you bundle your preventive care. So think about your exams, x-rays, cleanings, fluoride, or your perio maintenances in whatever your practice labels the standard of care that you believe in. So that is your plan. It's the bundle of preventive care and you set a price on it. Patients can typically pay yearly or monthly. And as an additional benefit to being a loyal member of your membership plan, typically practices offer discounts, reduced fees on the services outside of the bundled package. So that's what a membership plan is. So when a patient commits to this membership plan, they really are not only committing to your practice, but they're really taking a sense of ownership over their health, and they're feeling like now they're no longer just a number because they're not hopping anymore. They're a member of your practice community. So we're building that loyalty. We're helping them feel a part of something. These membership plans give the most perfect transparency, and it removes that friction. So they're basically prepaying or pre-committing to preventive care. And so they're incentivized. They want to use the benefits that they've already committed to and they've already paid for. So they want to get their money's worth. That's what leads to the higher appointment and attendance. And then lastly, trust through transparency. I mean, it's not confusing and it's not scary. Patients, typically most patients, even if they're insured, they have no idea what they should be paying for any given service. And most patients don't understand that you're going to bill out 3 to 4 service codes at their cleaning. It's not one cleaning code. You're billing 4, 6, sometimes 7 codes at that visit. They don't know what those things are. They don't know what they're due for, and they certainly don't know what's a reasonable and fair price for that. So there's so much uncertainty with that, that it just creates a barrier. So when you bundle this stuff and you say, hey, Steve, you can come in for your year. Our plan's $450. You pay it either monthly or yearly. All your preventive care is covered. Even an emergency visit is covered. So
One
peace
fee.
of mind. What's that?
One fee, and you've removed all of the uncertainty out of the equation.
Okay.
I love it.
Yep, absolutely. So really, when you look at the data, membership hits on 3 things: visits, production, and revenue. So members visit significantly more than cash patients. They are more likely to return for their scheduled hygiene appointments, 77% more likely. And the membership model increases procedure frequency drastically. So it really takes this patient who is more transactional, and it helps them from becoming so reactive to being more proactive and a more preventive minded patient. So how does that look for the business? We at Plan Forward, yes, we want to help you make access to patient care more accessible for these patients, but ultimately, we believe that we are a tool to help your business be stronger. So we're constantly measuring and looking at production and revenue and visits. And we see this loyalty translates directly into higher case acceptance. We've kind of already touched on this. Let's look at some of these numbers, Steve, if you wouldn't mind. So I'm going to go through 3 practices. This is recent data. These are 3 live practices. So when we start working with a practice, we look at your baseline, which is what's in the gray, and we look at, okay, for the 12 months before we implement your plan, how are your cash patients performing for your practice? So this was one practice. They were a group. They were contracted very heavily with insurance companies, and they wanted to implement a plan their goal was to increase recall and treatment acceptance. And they really wanted a very affordable price so that every patient would say yes. So it was more of a volume play on let's just get these patients to say yes, and less concerned about maximizing their UCR or their production. So as you can see, they had a nice jump in the net production per patient. Again, this is net production, not gross production. So they went from their, after 12 months of rolling out the membership plan, their patients were producing 22% higher net production per patient. And you'll notice the net production per visit actually went down. And that's likely because they had such a low price point for their plan, and their visits went up. So their visits go up, their production kind of comes down. So your that's not actually surprising that the production per visit would actually go down, but the visits went up. So they were coming back in significantly more, and they were producing more per patient. So that's actually what we would expect to see. And that was a very affordable price at around $325. So the next practice, extremely different. So it was a fee-for-service practice. This practice never set or offered a discount at all. So it was, you pay our full fee, we don't offer discounts. So it was really hard for them to actually digest this membership concept because it was reducing their UCR. They didn't reduce it very much, which totally, that's absolutely one way to do it, and it is a strategy. But you'll see their goal was to maximize production per patient. So if you slash your rates, it's not going to maximize your production. It's going to do some other things. So their plan price is actually $720 for a regular adult hygiene. I think their perio plan is closer to like $1,400. So you'll see a huge bump for them. They were actually, prior to Plan Forward, I mean, look at that data, $1,400 value for a cash patient. That's excellent. That's about on average what we see for members. Their net production per visit before implementing Plan Forward was 432, which again is higher than our average. And their visits per patient was over 3, which is like unheard of. So this practice had a solid cash patient base. But once we implemented the plan, they started getting the x-rays. They started getting acceptance on fluoride, and they started getting treatment acceptance. They weren't getting treatment acceptance. So you can see that huge bump in the net production per patient went up to $2,700, which $1,400 is hard to beat. I mean, when we first looked at that, we were like, whoa, we hope this actually drives what they're hoping it'll drive. And it did. And so the last office, again, is a little bit different. Bigger practice. They already had an existing plan in place, and they were struggling to manage different price points. So their goal was really to increase retention and grow their membership plan. They were having a hard time growing it because they only had one plan at one price, and they really needed to offer a perio plan and a child plan, and they wanted a senior plan. So to kind of break that up across their patient population, again, same story, increases their visits per patient, and it really bumped their net production per patient quite significantly once they were able to segment their patient population and offer a plan that was available and tailored to that specific patient group. So hopefully with all of this, you can see how you can use this membership plan strategically to help you kind of either solve some issues, build in some, security and some certainty for these cash patients, and get them to say yes to treatment, and then offer them a warranty on that treatment. So then you've checked all the boxes. So if you're inclined, if you already have a plan, maybe you just want to see like, how can I make my plan better? Feel free to scan that QR code. It's a 15-minute complimentary plan consultation. Bring your plan, bring your marketing materials. If you just want to show us some of your numbers in your practice management system, we can talk through that. Or just if you're having PMS reporting issues and challenges, ledger management, bring those questions. It really is your time, but we're happy to give our expert advice on what we would recommend you change or do differently.
Love it.
Nice.
Thank you, Megan. Great detail on how to build more loyalty into your patients, especially with those that are uninsured. All right, I'm going to give you some pearls to wrap up. Patient loyalty and scheduling. So this is from our team at Total Patient Service. Some quick reminders. We started out with the measurements of loyalty, pre-appointment and reappointment rate. Those are the measures of, are they really coming back? So here's how to increase those numbers. Number one, okay, this is common sense, not commonly practiced. Best place to schedule is in the treatment room. Chair-side scheduling, hands down, wins the race. The moment the patient stands up, all bets are off. So as much as you can, chair-side scheduling for their next appointment. Keep them coming back. Keep them loyal. Schedule them while they're still in the chair. Verbal skills matter. Give them a choice of when they're going to come back, not a chance. So, Jared, if you were my patient, here's what I would never say. I would never say, Jared, would you like to schedule your next appointment? There's a lot of answers to that question, and there's only one right one. But if I say if I give you a chance, would you like to schedule? That's going to get derailed. Jared's going to come up with a million different reasons why not. So the correct question is, which day of the week, Monday or Wednesday, works better for you? Or if it's hygiene, I would say, Stuart, if you were my patient, I'd say, so Stuart, does this day of the week and time of the day generally work for you for your next appointment? Does that generally work in your typical schedule, right? Or offer a choice between two things that work with your schedule. Give them a choice. Well, we say give them a choice, don't give them a chance. Monday or Wednesday, morning or afternoon, right? Assume that they're going to schedule their next appointment. All right, so those are just a couple of quick tips to wrap up. There are a couple things. Jared gave us some great examples of the verbal skills in uncertain times, that and all of the symptoms that come up. We deal with these every day at Total Patient Service. I'll give you one quick just example of one team in Florida that was battling cancellations, rescheduling, all of these things that we've talked about today. And here's the steps, all kinds of steps they took, from verbal skills training to what they did in the morning meeting to using a better intake process. What can happen in uncertain times? This is just one metric of taking cancellations that are a symptom of uncertainty. In this case, went from 11% down to 2%. And just that, the revenue just from that of keeping patients loyal, huge benefit to the practice. That's one of thousands of different examples. So here's our gift to you for attending today. You're welcome to scan that QR code for next steps on the verbal skills side of how to combat uncertainty, how to reduce cancellations, how to eliminate, I want to think about it, I'll let you know, that's too expensive, right now is not a good time. All these things we've talked about today, of things you can build into the equation, including good verbal skills and how you respond to those questions. So that's another resource available to you and your team, so you can up the game in uncertain times and keep your patients loyal. Jared, thank you to you and your team at Dental Warranty. Megan, thank you for all your wisdom, everything you know about loyalty. And Stuart, thank you for providing the platform to do this and all the CE. As you mentioned, email will go out to everyone who attended so that you can get your CE for today if you would like that.
I'm feeling more than satisfied, Steve.
I'm glad. Well, I hope that means you'll be loyal, because if you have team members that were not able to attend today, we will do this same program tomorrow at noon Central Time, as well as it's going to be recorded for future viewing. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time, guaranteed. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thanks.